I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. You know, I just mentioned earlier, I grew up watching the WWF when it was the WWF. Macho Man, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, you name it. I loved it growing up, and I still enjoy watching it, by the way. But the guy we have in studio with us right now, he is the only guy to hold the title for the WWE, the ECW, and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. He was #1 on the planet as a wrestler, and now he's with Impact Wrestling. They got this really cool event going on September 3rd and 4th at Sam's Town. Joining us right now in studio, none other than Mr. Rob Van Dam himself. Rob, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I am excellent. And to be fair, I think that when they did that Best Wrestler on the Planet, they actually included the other planets as well.
Fair enough. You brought a dog in studio, too, by the way. This is the first time anyone's ever brought a pet in. Very cute, by the way.
Thank you. I'm all about, jumping fences, being the first. That's part of being, that's what being an OG is all about.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so bring me back to the early 90s. How does one get into professional wrestling? How did you get that break or that start into the business?
Well, first off, you go in with no guarantees whatsoever. So I grew up in Battle Creek, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody knew anybody famous. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody. And there was an ad in a wrestling magazine. First off, I already had the idea, right, that I wanted to do this as a fan. I was like, wow, I'm going to do this when I grow up. And then in the wrestling magazine, there was an ad, send $5 and we'll send you a, and this was way before the internet, so you had to get it in the cinema. It was it had all the addresses and or phone numbers of all the wrestling schools. It said that there was like, I don't know, at the time it said like over 40 in the U.S., plus some other. And so I sent the $5 in, and then I wrote or called like everybody. I'd have a list and say I'm going to do like so many tonight, and whatever. And I'd have these memories of talking to some wrestling schools and like Larry Sharp's up in New Jersey, the Monster Factory, and Johnny Hunter in North Carolina. I'm just 17 years old, and I'm talking to this wrestling promoter. And he's like, you want to be a wrestler, huh? He said, this is Johnny Hunter. He said, are you married? I said, no. He goes, good, stay that way.
So a lot of guys, though, Rob, have a background, not necessarily just in wrestling, but they have a sports background. Were you an athlete? Were you somebody that was playing other sports as a kid and also in high school?
It's kind of crazy, but no. I was a goof off, and I really, at that time, my high school years, and I couldn't wait to get out of there and just be an adult, so I didn't want to be around school any more than I had to. I took that senior work day so I could take off and also I followed up though on my own. Like once I knew that I wanted to wrestle, I joined martial arts, and then that's where that came from.
So you make your break into the wrestling business. You make it. You have the skills to do it. The first time you're in front of a large amount of people, I'm not talking about 500 people or 1,000 people. I'm talking 20, 30, 40,000 people. Do you remember that first wrestling match you had, and how nervous were you performing in front of that many people?
It's not like I was thrown out in front of 30,000 people. I mean, it's a pretty steady climb up.
Right.
I mean, starting out on shows where you see one row of chairs around the ring.
Right.
And you're nervous then when you're starting out, know. So, but, what comes to mind when you ask me that is the Toronto WrestleMania that we did. There was over 70,000 people there.
Who did you fight?
William Regal.
So what? So
you're Continental Championship.
Explain this to me, because 99.9% of society will never get an opportunity to perform, whether it's anything, in front of that many people. You're about ready to get out there. You're coming out of the locker room. You're about ready to perform in WrestleMania in front of 70,000 people. What is going through your mind?
I can't actually remember that, you know what I mean? Exactly like what my mood was going out or how I felt about the match before. But what I do remember was that in the ring, because the building was so big, and I've been in a few since then, but this was the first time for me to experience this, all the noise from the crowd goes straight up, and you can't hear it in the ring.
Right.
And so I thought that the people were, hating our match because I couldn't hear them reacting at all. And me and William Regal and I are out there doing all our, we had what turned out to be considered a really good match. But at the time, I was so bummed and disappointed. And afterwards, I was like, man, why how come we couldn't get the people into it? And when I went through the curtain, then I got a different story. Everyone, yeah, good job.
That's so
like,
interesting.
Did you hear the people
So you were a little
there?
insecure about the match because you didn't hear the fans getting in there. Okay, so before
every time I'm in a big building like that, that's the case.
So,
I know.
So we know how athletic you guys are and how difficult it is and the injuries you sustain. But with that being said, people always say, well, wrestling's fake. And I got to imagine, number one, that has to annoy the hell out of you. And number two, what actually goes into a match before a match? Obviously, there's some sort of script that's put into place, right? But can you take us through what happens behind the scenes for example, the match you had in WrestleMania?
So, yeah, the word script is offensive to me, even though I know that it's used commonly.
Trust me, I would never want to offend somebody like you. Trust me.
But I don't. I have never seen like a script of my match.
But you know who's going to win.
It's like, so it's not about the end of the match, but everything up until that point. What people can't understand because they know it's entertainment is that you are competing. You want to be the one outshining it. You want to be the one making the money. Sure. You want to be the one the fans, the promoters, everyone are paying attention to.
Of course, because the more famous and popular you are, the more money you're going to make.
And you got to work. The idea is that you're working all together to try to make money together. Right. But, one guy, you might not like him or he might do something in the ring where all of a sudden you don't trust him at all. You're like, oh, my God, this guy.
Right.
I'm just going to dump him on his head and not take a chance.
Right.
But, there's all kinds of, things you're doing out there to protect yourself and your career, and so that's what. Yeah,
of course.
So as far as before going out there, that is circumstantial, depending on. And nowadays, the styles change so much.
Sure.
When I got in, it was all about just going out there, listen to the more experienced guy who's in the ring. I came up wrestling Greg Valentine, Manny Fernandez. Mm-hmm. I just listened to him out there.
You took their advice.
While we're wrestling, while we're right there, you say arm drag, give me an arm drag, boom, hold it.
So they would tell you in the middle of the fight what to do.
Absolutely. But nowadays people can't do that as much. But that was it. And they were that. And some guys like Ric Flair, he's a legend. That's how he does it. If you wrestle Ric Flair, he wants to call it all out there. And I've wrestled Undertaker on WWE shows, many of them where. We didn't have anything. We both knew how it was going to end, and we didn't need to talk about one thing.
Because you knew. You're professionals, and you knew what was going to happen.
And then, so then on the other side of the spectrum, then there's guys, that want to get to the building at 7 a.m. so they can rehearse. I hate that word, too.
If you're just joining us, legendary professional wrestler Rob Van Dam, they got a great event going on at Sam's Town. It's going to be September 3rd and 4th. The movie The Wrestler is one of my favorite movies of all time. Did you feel like that Mickey Rourke movie, did you feel like that movie was pretty real as far as getting into the business and the struggles that you had to go through?
It was very real. It just tells one side of the story. That's not like, it's not exactly like that for everybody. Very much, I lived a lot of going through that. To get into the business. And then, and then still sometimes when we're at conventions, sometimes sitting around the table, it's like, oh my God, it's like that scene in The Wrestler. But I'm at a different level. It was a depressing movie. We're all so excited. Like, the business is going to pop. There's a A-list movie with Mickey Rourke about wrestling. It's going to be good for everybody. Yeah. And I watched it screening, and I told the guy that Darren Aronofsky, whatever, that's the fighter. You know what I mean? The director.
Yep.
I told him, I said, what'd you think of that movie? And I said, it depressed me. I said, it made me feel like all my life's dreams were rubbish. And, come out, film me in my big house, and my gorgeous girlfriend and my life, and see how many.
So you're telling me you never had a fight like that where there were nails involved and they were all over your skin and there was glass everywhere?
That is true, but I probably have come closer to it than I'd like to admit.
True.
Actually, one barbed wire match with Abyss, and I think he had thumbtacks he put in there, but
that's not.
I think that's about it. No, I didn't. Everyone takes what they take from whatever, and myself and my peers inspired a lot of the wrestlers that are out there now. Yep. But I've always considered like the matches when they smash light bulbs over their heads garbage matches. Mm-hmm. And there could be. There's always exceptions. There's a way you could work that into a really good match, but
of course,
yeah.
I want to get the dates right, by the way, on Sam's Town. I said it's the 3rd and 4th. I was wrong on that. It's actually the 5th and the 6th. So I want to make sure that's right, and that'll be at Sam's Town. JD, go ahead.
So, mentioning how brutal wrestling is and a lot of injuries take place, you've been a very, very staunch proponent of taking CBD oil and CBD oriented products as a way to recover as an athlete. How when you take CBD, how does it help you recover as an athlete?
Well, see, I know more on the science of it than to actually say from experience that I know that CBD is making me heal at any faster rate than before I took it. It's like I do a lot of reading up on it, and I know that it helps a lot of people, but I'm always asking my peers when they say that they can feel it. I'm like, how do you feel it? Because if I put a topical on that has CBD, and if it's got menthol, I'm going to feel that, of course. Sure. And the CBD, the science says, that it's going to help by reaching the cannabinoid receptors and recruiting. And so, hey, why not? It sounds like a good idea to take it, and it helps so much. So I try to keep a good level of CBD in me. But
that makes sense.
When I ask my peers about feeling it, I think they all feel it because they take it before they go to bed, and it makes them sleepy.
But Rob, the big issue that people talk about is steroids, right? And you hear. And look, people die at young ages, whether they're wrestlers or not. But, Macho Man Randy Savage, I could name you so many wrestlers that have died of heart disease. And a lot of people think that it's not a coincidence, that a lot of people are dying young, professional wrestlers, because of steroid use. What are your thoughts on that? And did you ever see somebody like a Hulk Hogan, somebody like a Macho Man Randy Savage? Do you have inside information that I would imagine you knew that some of these big stars in the sport were juicing? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a little bit confused about, you went from some wrestlers, were you talking about their deaths? And then,
a lot of people want to compare, these wrestlers dying at young ages to perhaps steroid use. And I just want to get your thoughts on, do you think that's fair to make that comparison?
I think, no, but it's not totally unfair. Like, it's something to consider, I think. But, factually, a lot of my friends commit suicide, and it seems to be as a result of depression from concussions. And
really?
Oh my God, you don't even know about this, bro.
No.
It's so. This year we've already lost at least 25 wrestlers this year already.
Are you kidding?
Okay,
That's awful.
so the first one so I made this movie Headstrong, a documentary. It's on iTunes and Google Play. It's supposed to be about me doing a comedy tour on the road, but I showed up concussed, and for the first time ever, the symptoms didn't go away. I've had so many concussions, and they would just go right away.
How many concussions did you have over the course of your career? Estimate about
at least 500.
What?
I stopped counting years ago when I came up with that number.
You're telling me that as a professional wrestler in your career,
yes,
you've had close to 500 concussions. That's
self-diagnosed. All right. So here's what I've learned is that when you get rammed in your head bounces off the mat or whatever it is, and you're feeling loopy for a few seconds.
Right.
That's a concussion.
Do you feel like you have symptoms?
Only from the very last one that I got in November 2016, which the movie Headstrong covers. The reason I brought that up is because I had the movie out. I wanted people to see it because I was proud of it. And it's real personal and this and that. But a few months later, I started really being affected by all these deaths and depression that come from the concussions. Ashley Massaro, you remember her?
Yes.
They don't want it to get out of respect for the family when someone hangs themselves.
So
when I die, I want everyone to know exactly how I died, so we can.
Which
all
I can
learn from
appreciate.
it. Yeah. So anyway, that really affected me. I liked her, and I was like, hey, if she could do that, could I do that? I don't want to.
So what do you think they can do,
so
in the sport?
Conversation has to continue first off.
Right.
That's why I want people to watch Headstrong now, because people are talking about it, and that's how we're going to learn more. And there's there's right now there's stem cells that help with concussions. There's oxygen,
and what's going on in the NFL.
I'm on top of it.
But here's what's incredible: a guy like an Eric Lindros, who a fantastic NHL player, right, Hall of Famer. He sustained around 8 concussions over the course of his career, and people made, and it was a big deal that he had to retire early because of that. We're talking about 8 concussions.
Right.
You're talking to me about possibly 500 concussions.
Right.
That is unbelievable that you were even still able to function.
But here's the thing that we're learning. guess what? THC protects the brain, and not just THC, but CBDs and the whole entourage. The plant, the medicinal plant of marijuana has been shown way back in, like, I don't know, it was years ago. I was talking to Chris Nowinski, who actually studies the brains, the doctor, my friend, and I was asking him, is it possible, because I had read at the time THC was helping with Alzheimer's.
Right.
At first it was, slowing it down, then it was stopping it, then maybe even like fighting it off. And I said, the Alzheimer's sounds very similar to CTE. It's like a protein plaque that sits on your information highways and jams shit up. So can I say that? Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, don't say the S word. That's okay. Go ahead.
Dude.
That's okay.
And so, he said, you're probably onto something, but in order to start a study like that, you need so much money. That was years ago. Now, everybody knows about it, and they're trying to come up with the brain product. My theory is because I had my brain pretty much saturated with THC over my career.
Right.
I think, and even though people were telling me I was killing my brain cells, I believe I was protecting my brain, and I think I'm one case, maybe one of a kind, but it could serve as evidence for that study. Yeah,
that's incredible.
So, Rob, there's been so many high points to your career, obviously, throughout basically the past 3 decades, right? It's been crazy. And, there's so many federations. There's so many ways that, the fans out there can see what was the peak? What was the high point of your notoriety? Was it around just after 2000 when you were part of the Alliance and you were going up against the likes of The Rock and, the Undertaker and all these other big names? Was it that period where you really started to get noticed both on the national and international stage?
Well, that, WWE throws you out there into the world like nobody else can. It's funny to hear of other wrestling companies try to compare themselves as competition, because WWE puts you in countries that you've never even heard of. Like I'm a big part of society in countries that I will never go to. Sometimes I'll have a taxi cab driver tell me, "Son, I'm from Zimbabwe. You're a big star there." And I'm like, "Where, yo? We all do this."
That's got to be cool and weird at the same time.
It is cool, and I'm used to it because I've been wrestling for 30 years. But that's for sure where you're at your top of exposure. But my crowning moment definitely is when I beat John Cena for the,
of course,
and not just because I was a WWE champion, but because that was about everything that I stuck to my guns with the hardcore style. I wanted it. The fans wanted it. We won. Brought back a third brand as ECW. That's a big accomplishment for a wrestler to do.
So we only have a few more minutes left, and obviously I want to talk about this event at Sam's Town, but let's do some rapid fire questions here real quickly. Weirdest thing that somebody ever said to you in the ring, and the weirdest fight you ever had.
I'm not so rapid at these rapid fire.
That's okay.
Okay.
We don't have to do that. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
You've had 500 concussions. It's okay.
Thank
it's
you.
all right.
Thank you. Watch Headstrong, dude.
Yes, that's okay. So let's promote what's going on at Sam's Town. Talk to me a little bit about this event. Sam's Town is a great casino to go to. So tell me exactly what's going on there at Sam's Town.
Impact Wrestling is, it's kind of hard for some people to find it on television now, but it's where you find RVD now, and we're doing TV taping, so it'll be next Thursday and Friday, this Thursday and Friday, and then it'll be like they'll be on TV for like the next month, so the fans that come out can see themselves on TV because they'll do like 4 weeks worth, and Ken Shamrock's going to be there.
He's a legend, just like you.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to that. Dude, I met him in 1991. I was 20 years old. And just, getting in the business. When I wrestled for Manny Fernandez, as a matter of fact. Ross, are we giving tickets away?
You want to give away a pair of tickets? Can we do that? All right. So why don't we do this right now? Thank you. You guys are very nice. So fifth caller right now, you will win a pair of tickets to check out, as he mentioned, Ken Shamrock. This is an awesome event over there at Sam's Town.
Tommy Dreamer will be there. Tessa Blanchard.
A lot of familiar faces. It's September 5th and 6th at Sam's Town. Fifth caller right now at 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Fifth caller right now will win a pair of tickets to check this out, Impact Wrestling over there at Sam's Town. Rob, did I miss anything? Anything else you want to give out?
I missed something. My girlfriend Katie Forbes is going to be wrestling there, too.
So your girlfriend wrestles?
Yes.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How did you guys meet, by the way?
At a wrestling convention, like 3.5 years ago.
That is so cool. Do you have any kids?
No kids.
No kids?
No, sir.
Well, they told you
I'm the kid.
They told you very early on, don't get married, right?
That's what Johnny Hunter said. I just somewhat recently got out of a 20-year marriage. And just like Johnny Hunter said, although I did my best, but what he told me back in the day, he said, you'll be on the road, you'll have girls on the road, she'll have boyfriends when you're gone. That's what he told me as a 17-year-old kid. Like, that was heartbreaking to hear.
So quickly, though, you're a long-time L.A. resident, but now you're in Vegas here. What are your thoughts on living here?
Dude, I love Vegas so much for all the right reasons. I mean, for one, people would have no idea it's not that hot when you live here. If you just visit and come in and out, then it kills you. But everything is so close.
Well, Rob, listen, this issue on concussions, when we have more time, maybe, because you live here, I would love to have you back in maybe for an hour and we can take some calls and we can talk about your experience. So let's do it again.
Keep the conversation going.
I would love to talk more about this issue with you.
My motivation is let's be able to fix everything because I don't want to go down that path. Of course. They say that like if something takes over your brain, it's not yours anymore. That's a scary thought.
Let's continue this conversation. I want to have you in again sometime, Rob. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks,
I
Rob.
really appreciate you coming in.
A lot, Rob.
And check it out, man. Samstown, September 5th and 6th. Rob Van Dam. Thank you so much.
Follow me at The Real RVD for details.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for coming in. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
This is The Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!